Well, you're stopping by for another installment of the Reserve List Top 10. You're also finding out exactly how volatile the market for the Reserve List can be. In today's video, which stretches from August 17th to the 23rd of 2024, there's a lot of information, a lot going on in the Reserve List that players may not know about. So let's get this party started. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here, and thank you again for hanging out with me today for another video. This is a Reserve List Top 10 installment, the hottest selling cards on the Reserve List, and if you enjoyed today's content, like and subscribe to the channel. You can also support me by using my TCG Player affiliate link, and you do find that in the description of all my videos. Click that link, and this channel gets a kickback for everything you buy. Now let's jump into the number 10 card. This is Mox Diamond coming to us from Stronghold. This card has an average price of $679.67. It saw 35 sales this week, or $23,788.45 if, and mainly if, we were talking only about buying near mint copies. That is not what is happening on the market right now. We are seeing damaged and heavily played copies being the majority of these sales. Let's not forget that Mox Diamond is a zero casting cost artifact, and when it comes into play, you choose and discard a land card, or you have to sacrifice Mox Diamond. Now, it adds 1 mana of any color to your mana pool though, and of course it's played as a mana source. Guys, this card is invaluable to most deck construction ideas in a lot of different formats, so buying one copy and holding it forever is your best bet. Let's move on to our number 9 card. Now, for number 9, we are going and taking a look at Visions, and we're looking at the Anvil of Bogarden. This is a 2 casting cost generic artifact that has been as high as $200 US. In today's market, as you can see, you can find this card for $33 US for a near mint copy, but that $1,254 of sales action did mostly see light played and near mint copies, and that's because of the price of this card. So how much are we going to get? What playability factor can we use with a card like this? What is that 2 generic going to get us? Well, it says here in the Anvil, each player skips his or her discard phase. During each player's draw phase, that player draws an additional card and then chooses and discards a card. A lot of things going on there. People used to use this with the Library of Lang to really manipulate the deck draw. It was a lot of fun, guys. It's still a great card, and for less than 40 bucks, this thing is definitely a steal. Get a play set of 4, call it a day, and never worry about this card again. Now for our next card, we're going to jump over and take a look at the Hall of Gemstones. This is from Mirage. It's been on the list lots of times, and it comes at around $12.64 into the number 8 slot. It has 41 sales this week, which is only $518.24. Now this is talking about that volatility we're going to go over in the end section of this video, because there's a lot going on in the Reserve List and these prices that players need to know about. Now, the Hall of Gemstones for 2 green and 1 generic does offer some amazing artwork. A lot of us remember from back in the day. It is an enchant world, of course, and it says, during each player's upkeep, that player chooses a color. Until end of turn, each mana-producing land produces mana of the chosen color instead of its normal color. This leads to a lot of manipulation, a lot of group decisions and combinations when you're playing a commander game, so keep it in mind. And in a 60 card commander like Rip and Trip deck that we used to play back in the day, this will just mess you up. You played mono green. Crawworm. You guys know what I'm talking about. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. We're jumping into the Tolarian Trancer, which of course was on the list last week, and it's coming to us from Weatherlight. This card is coming in at the number 7 slot with 42 sales. That's only $83.16. This thing has an average price of $1.98. Guys, this is one of those cards, and as we're showing you in the video today, the sales in the Reserve List are very finicky. They are very held by the sway of popularity of commander cards and what deck construction commander ideas come up. Now, the Tolarian Trancer is a 1 blue, 1 generic, 1/1 that says, whenever Tolarian Trancer is blocked by any creature, gain control of that creature at the end of combat. So you go, you attack with this guy, you do some crazy stuff, you make sure he stays alive, and you're going to take control of that creature, which can be a lot of fun if you can find ways of making it work. I don't consider this a mainstay threat card. I think it's just a playable card. A lot of fun can be had, and $2 seems about right, but I can see this card reaching as high as $5 or $10 in the future just because of time and because cards like this they're not made anymore. Remember Lure? You guys remember Lure. Alright guys, let's go over and take a look again at Visions with Griffin Canyon. This card has an average price of $6.48, 43 sales this week, $278.64 of sales action, and it looks like somebody in this market is just taking advantage of the lower price set and the fact a tribal card like this may come around in the future and be of some kind of use. I mean, I wish this thing actually said tap to, for any color to cast a Griffin, but we're not that lucky. Although that card could come in the future in the form of things like, Cavern of Souls, but Griffin related. You know what I'm talking about. Wizards does that sort of thing. So what does the Griffin Canyon do for us other than offer an epic piece of artwork? Well, it taps for colorless mana, but it does also say untap target Griffin, and that Griffin gains +1/+1 until end of turn. So it is kind of nice to be able to untap a Griffin, give it a little bit of a boost up, kind of give it a temporary vigilance effect. I like it. I've always used it when I've played some other... No, I haven't. What are we talking about? I've never used that card. There's never been enough Griffins. We need to get that started. More Griffins, people. Alright guys, Winding Canyons takes the number 5 slot, and it has 48 sales this week. And of course, this is going back to the Atrocity and the Eldrazi constructed decks that are utilizing this card right now. $1,720.80 of total sales action, and this card shot up huge this month. It's now at $35.85, a far cry from the $7 we saw a few months ago. Now, this card has a lot going for it, though, that something like Griffin Canyon doesn't. And the fact that it doesn't need Griffins to do anything, it does it all by itself. Take a look at this card. Now, Winding Canyons is a land that says tap to add colors to your mana pool. That's great. You can get mana right away. Maybe not the color you need, but at least you can get something. But it also says and tap it until end of turn. You may play creature cards anytime you can play an instant. So basically, you're giving your entire creature hand all full of like instant flash out creatures. It's amazing, okay? Flashing in creatures can be so awesome. Now, our next card, we're jumping into Fastbond, revised edition, back on the top 10. This thing was here for like 4 months in a row, a few months back this year, and it's back again this week. $17 is on average, used to be $27.50 if you guys remember. 52 sales this week, or $884 of sales action. Banned in most formats. Players dream of the day this thing becomes unbanned. I mean, if we're allowed to have things like Orcish Bowmasters and all kinds of crazy cards out there, like Serra's Sanctum, how much threat can really a Fastbond be? Well, it's a 1 green enchantment that says you may play as many land cards as you want each turn, but you take 1 damage for every land beyond the first. It was a great way back in the day to dump your whole hand out, do crazy things like balance, and do all kinds of nutty things that nobody expected. This card could probably be highly abused, but I would still unban it in Commander and make the players have to learn to deal with cards like this instead of circumventing the process of the game. I mean, Wizards created them, we should be able to play with them. Alright guys, our next card is Zirilan of the Claw. This is from Mirage, and this is probably related to a whole bunch of dragon ideas that have been popping up recently. 56 sales this week, or $534.24 of sales action to take the number 3 slot. Now, at $9.54, this is not a high level creature that costs a lot of money, but let's remember this guy's been as high as like $50-60 US, which is like $75 Canadian. Keep that in mind, guys. These cards can bounce back. I think people are taking advantage of the lower market spread. Now here we have a card that is 2 red, 3 generic for a 3/4 summon legend. Pay 2 red and 1 generic, search your library for a dragon card, and put it into play as though it were just played. That is crazy. Shuffle your library afterwards. This creature is unaffected by summoning sickness. Remove the creature from the game at the end of play. You can attack with some very big ancient dragons and do some nutty stuff. Great card. Now, for our next card, it's Brain Geyser coming to us from Revised. Didn't see this coming into the number 2 spot, but here we are with 70 sales this week, or $1,147.30 of total sales action. So what are we looking at when we see a card like Brain Geyser? Well, Brain Geyser is an old school card with amazing artwork, iconic artwork, and of course the 2 blue plus X means you can do a lot of crazy stuff. Because unlike other things that say may draw, this thing says you will draw. So let's take a look at this card and get what we're talking about. Target player must draw X cards. Not may, must. You can make people draw crazy amounts of cards, including yourself, to get the effect you want. You used to add this with things like Fork or other ways like Dual Cast, and you can get amazing abilities flying and be able to make your opponents or yourself draw cards to end the game. This usually was a mid to late game ender because you got exactly what you needed. And in a Commander game, it is a game ender if you have enough mana. It's just the way it is. So let's go ahead and take a look at the number 1 card this week, and it's Hithis of the Scale from Mirage. Now, this card has seen tremendous buyouts in the last couple of weeks. but it's not a lot of money. This thing is down to $1.45, but a week ago this thing was 30 cents. So it has jumped up overall, and those 78 sales only represents $113.10, which means one person just, took out, instead of going to McDonald's with his family, decided to just go out and buy all these copies, and now they made the number one top 10 card for the week on the reserve list, and that's how easy it is to do to manipulate these numbers, guys. Now it's 2 red, 3 generic for a 3-4. You may choose not to untap Hivas of the Scale during your untap phase. Gain control of target dragon. If Hivas of the Scale becomes untapped or you lose control of Hivas, well, then you lose control of that dragon, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This thing works for all kinds of stuff like changelings and stuff too. Don't forget, changelings are everything at once, so are the shapeshifters. So this card actually has some playability factor later when we see more cards come out. Get ready for it. This card could be worth a lot of money. And this is where we find ourselves on the market. Welcome back to the wrap up of today's video, and let's go over a few things that's actually happening right now. The sales listings we saw this week were incredibly low. The interest in a lot of the reserve list cards is at a kind of low area right now where there's not a lot of movement going on. The only thing we saw that was kind of a surprise was seeing the Mox Diamond jump to the forefront, and that's because it's been on the wish list all over, and again, most of the copies selling were like damaged and heavily played copies, just players who want to utilize them, not speculate on them, which is great for players who can actually afford to get the card. Fantastic. Now, as we're looking forward and seeing, there is a lot of reserve list cards that are very easily afforded by players, and although you hear a lot of grumps and groans about how expensive the reserve list is, let's face it, most of these cards are not expensive. Of the 572, it's probably less than 72 cards that cost some serious money, and everything else can easily be purchased over a period of time without breaking the bank. But either way, this is where we find ourselves on the market. This is the way the market is determining value right now, and we are going to see some speculators probably coming in soon with prices this low and start scooping up some stock in the reserve list just in case things turn around and some card decides to spike again. Because every year there's always a couple of cards. Remember that. Guys, thanks again for tuning into the Mox, man. Thanks for hanging out with me on the channel. And of course, I look forward to seeing you guys on the live stream Sunday. That's today, if you watch the video today. And that would be 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to seeing you there. Have a great one, guys. And of course, we'll see you tomorrow with another video. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in today as we take a look at all the amazing patrons on this channel. Remember, it's because of the patrons that daily uploaded content is created. If it wasn't for my patrons as well as my YouTube membership members, well, we just wouldn't be here. So you know what, guys, thanks again for being part of my channel and supporting the efforts as we continue to grow and hopefully get to that 25K and the future main goal of 50K. Have a great one, guys. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. You've made it to the end of the video. Now let's talk about what's really going on in the market. Let's talk about this. With the cards this cheap, why are people not buying them? Why are not people picking up play sets of 4 and calling it a day, getting the couple of cards you need, and even cards you don't need, just to say you bought them? We're here at the end of the video. I'll be honest, guys. I have been purchasing cards. Very low-end cards that aren't even reserve list, but cards from the dark, from legends, from antiquities, commons, uncommons, anything I can find cheap, I am gathering. I am pooling resources. I am gathering. I am building. I am gathering. You notice I keep saying gathering, Magic the Gathering, because I'm collecting up larger stockpiles of these cards while they're affordable. Market's turn, could be a decade, could be tomorrow. I don't care. I'm taking an opportunity that I think is fair and cheap in some cases to grab some of these cards, and that's what I like to do. I like to look at the market right now and say, that's how much they're charging for these reserve list cards. I can augment and get things. Remember, I got Winding Canyons at $5-6. They're in the Patreon box for the patrons. I got Deranged Hermits. I picked up these cards when they were dirt cheap. By the way, on a side note, Deranged Hermit, Legion Hollows, they're all like less than 40 sales. They're like 31, 32. They're all peeling off now, guys. So expect Deranged Hermit, Legion Hollows. Those cards are going to start cycling down in price. And if you wait, you're going to be rewarded. Thanks again for hanging out. Thanks for being here. I'm leaving. I'm going. I'll see you on the live stream. You know how it is. Wait, no, I'll come back. We're not done. We're not done. Yes. Are we done? I'm thinking about it. Maybe. No, I'll go. I'll go. But no, maybe I'll come back again. I mean, have you talked to your kids? Are they tidying up at home? Are they helping you out? Are they making sure you're taken care of? I'm talking about, yeah, you in the background. Stop playing with the Lego. Go pick things up. Mom and dad can hurt their feet stepping on that stuff. Keep the room clean. Don't be like my dad. You know, if he came to the house and he saw a mess in the living room, he threw all your toys away and just called it a day. Yeah, brutal 80s childhood. What am I talking about? This isn't magic. I'm out of here.